Unexpected turn. Poor girl brings Beggar to ex's wedding and discovers he's a millionaire CEO. Emily stood in front of the cracked mirror in her tiny apartment, running her fingers through her unruly hair. A brittle invitation lay on the cluttered table. Tyler's wedding invitation. The gold lettering sparkled like a taunt against the dull backdrop of her life as a waitress in a small diner just outside Chicago. Desperation gripped her, stinging her chest. She could either wear her frayed dress, the one she saved for the rare special occasions, or she could just not go at all. Her heart wavered as she recalled the glitz of Tyler's life, the shining people who wouldn't even recognize her anymore. Just then, her thoughts drifted to Frank. He was a homeless man who often sat near the diner, rough yet kind. They shared fleeting conversations over coffee and crumbs, moments where he spoke with a wisdom born from battles lost and won. He often told stories of his dreams that now cradled dust in the recesses of his mind. "You know, Emily," he once said, his voice a soothing balm, "life's like a deck of cards. You can play a bad hand well." That day, she decided to invite Frank to be her +1. As the sun dipped low on the day of the wedding, Emily felt a knot in her stomach. Walking into the venue felt like stepping into a world where every laugh echoed as a reminder of her struggles. Lush arrangements adorned every table, crystal chandeliers sent sparkles dancing around the room. And there she was, in her faded dress, clutching Frank's hand, a wave of discomfort crashing over her. Then she felt it, the slow burn of judgment hitting her like an icy breeze. Around them, whispers tinged with surprise followed Frank. He seemed unfazed, exuding an unexpected charisma that drew even the hardest gazes. With each passing moment, Emily felt her self-worth spike and dive like a pendulum. Yet, the sharp glances from Tyler and their mutual friends felt like arrows piercing her resolve. "Look at her, bringing a beggar," was a thought that hung heavy in the air. Before she could spiral further, Frank took center stage, nervously clearing his throat. Emily held her breath. What would he say? Would he share his tales once more, making the audience squirm? Instead, Frank began to recount a story, a heart-wrenching tale of loss. He spoke of starting as a young man who built a company from nothing, who had once danced with success before tragedy turned it all to ash. Gasping patrons began to lean in, realization dawning on their faces. "Once, I was a CEO," he confessed, his voice powerful yet gentle, "until life stripped it from me. But here I stand, my worth not defined by a title. It's our hearts that matter." Cheers erupted, but as the crowd turned toward her, Emily felt the weight of expectation shift. Before she could digest the scene unfolding before her, Tyler locked eyes with her, his expression twisted into disdain. Her chest tightened. The old Emily, the one who yearned for acceptance, squared her shoulders. This was a chance, a moment to reclaim her story. "Tyler," she called out amidst the chatter, "we're not here to impress. We're here to be seen for who we are." But as she spoke up, a jolt of uncertainty twisted her insides. Emily's heart raced, hope and dread coiling together like vines wrapping around her spirit. Was this the beginning of a new chapter, or would it be the end of her connection to the past? Where did this leave her dreams? The answer hung in the air, just like the laughter that faded into the background. The moment hung in the air like a fragile balloon ready to pop. Silence swept through the room, heavy and expectant. Emily's heart drummed in her chest as she faced Tyler. His once boyish charm now twisted into something sharp and unrecognizable. Around them, conversations halted mid-sentence, eyes darting between the two former lovers. "What a joke, Emily. You think this is some kind of performance?" Tyler's voice cut through the tension, bitter and biting. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks as the crowd shifted, musings rippling like a stone cast into still water. But in that moment of vulnerability, something cracked open inside her. She could hear Frank's voice echoing faintly in her mind. "Your value isn't dependent on their approval." Gathering every ounce of courage, she replied, "No, Tyler. This isn't about impressing anyone. It's about being real, about standing up for what matters." The steel in her voice surprised even her, and for a heartbeat, she caught glimpses of respect dancing in the eyes of some guests. But it dwindled against Tyler's scorn. This isn't where you belong. You think you can just waltz in here with what? A charity case? It's pathetic. Anger surged within her, but alongside it came a wave of clarity. She crossed her arms, her fists clenching. Pathetic is judging someone by their past. Her words crackled in the air, igniting a few murmurs from the crowd. Emily turned from him, shoving her way through the sea of shocked faces. She had to breathe, to think. Frank's presence still loomed at the back of her mind, a steady warmth within the storm circling her. She caught sight of him across the room, standing tall and peaceful, his gaze fixed on her, his eyes sparkling with a new understanding. "Do you really think this matters?" Frank called gently, his voice breaking through the noise. "This wedding, these people, they don't define you." His calm steadiness wrapped around her, grounding her thoughts. She hadn't just brought him as a plus one. She had brought the truth of her life into the spotlight. In that contrast, it finally dawned on her this wasn't merely about showing up for Tyler's grand day. It was about reclaiming her narrative. As whispers began to swirl again, Emily saw reflections of her own insecurities mirrored in the faces around her. There was sympathy and surprise, but also a spark of something deeper. Her heart raced. There were more stories than just Tyler's, a tapestry of lives that held triumph, failure, pain, and hope. "Let us go, Frank," she said, turning to him. "Let us find somewhere we belong." He nodded, and she felt a strange sense of liberation wash over her. Together, they stepped outside into the air that felt electric with possibilities. Tyler's world blurred behind them, and for the first time in what felt like ages, hope fluttered in her chest. But as they walked, a hand shot out to catch her arm, a familiar face, tinged with urgency. It was Marissa, Tyler's sister, her eyes wide. "Emily, wait!" What had she come to say? And why did her expression hold a secret that could alter everything? Emily's breath caught as she turned to face the unexpected interruption, her heart pounding. The night still had mysteries wrapped in shadows, and she could feel the tug of destiny pulling her closer. What revelations awaited her now? Marissa's grip on Emily's arm was firm, almost desperate. The wedding's sounds faded, replaced by the rapid beat of Emily's heart. "I need to talk to you," Marissa said, her voice low, tinged with urgency. The crowd around them resumed their chatter, ignoring the two women caught in a moment that felt like a life-altering pause. "What's going on?" Emily asked, momentarily forgetting the weight of Tyler's earlier words. A million questions darted through her mind, but Marissa's face held only one emotion: concern. "It's about Tyler," Marissa began, glancing around as if ensuring they were protected from prying ears. "There's something you don't know. I didn't mean to bring this up here, but it's urgent. He hasn't been honest with you about a lot." Emily's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "He's always been an open book. This isn't the time for games, Marissa." Marissa took a deep breath, her expression softening. "He's not just some guy, Emily. He's at a turning point in his life. He's struggling with things I wish I could tell you about, but you need to know that there's more to him than you think." The heat from earlier melted into confusion as Emily processed her words. "More than I think? He just insulted my choice to bring Frank here, treating me like I'm still that girl from the past. Why would I care about his struggles?" Marissa stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Because deep down you still care about him. And you know it. He's not a monster. He's just lost. Please, Emily. I'm not asking you to forgive him, but I think understanding could change everything." The intensity of Marissa's gaze unlocked something deep inside Emily. Was there a part of her that still lingered on the love they once shared? Could Tyler still be saved, even by a sliver of compassion? The thought rattled her. "Why are you telling me this?" Emily pressed, searching for sincerity in Marissa's eyes. "You're his sister. Shouldn't you be defending him? Because I'm tired of the lies and the facades." Marissa's voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "I believe you deserve to know the truth, and maybe a part of him does too." The real Tyler is drowning under expectations and pressures he can't share with anyone. I believe you could help him, but he needs to acknowledge what's broken inside him first. The bustle of the reception felt miles away as Emily wrestled with the information. She thought of Frank, his patient warmth, and the way he saw her as she really was. He wasn't perfect, but he offered something real, something freeing. Maybe you should tell him to his face, Emily finally said, her voice steadier, albeit small. Maybe it's time for him to stop hiding. I'm still figuring out my own story, and I can't get caught up in his. Marissa nodded, the weight of Emily's words settling between them. I respect that. Just think about it. There's still a chance for him to find his way back, especially if he remembers how to be true to himself. As she released Emily's arm, there was a flicker of hope in her eyes, as if believing that little by little, Tyler could become whole again. Just then, Frank stepped into view, his comforting presence a balm to Emily's fraying thoughts. Hey, I thought we were leaving? He said, looking between the two with quizzical eyes. Maybe we should stay a bit longer, Emily said, her voice trembling with uncertainty, caught in the balance. Could understanding really lead to forgiveness? Or would it pull her back into a world she fought so hard to escape? And as the uncertainty hung between them, something shifted inside her. Would she allow herself to explore this tangled web of emotions further? The night seemed wide open with possibilities, but which direction would she choose next? Emily watched as Frank's brows furrowed, his confusion blending with concern. He always seemed to know when something was off, an innate sensitivity that made her both grateful and a little anxious. She took a deep breath, her heart racing as she struggled to find the right words. I don't know, she finally said, her voice trailing off. Looking back at Marissa, she felt the weight of her words and the meaning behind them pressing down like layers of heavy fabric. There's something I need to figure out. Marissa stepped back, sensing the tension brewing between Emily and Frank. She offered Emily a small, supportive smile before whispering, just think it over. Okay? Frank reached for Emily's wrist, and warmth spread through her. What's going on? You look a little pale, he said, his voice suddenly softer, filled with concern that enveloped her. I think I need to talk to Tyler, she admitted, the admission spilling out before she could catch it. The words hung in the air, turning the moment electric. Frank's expression shifted, surprise pinching his features. Why would you want to do that? His question was cautious, yet she could tell he was trying to hold himself steady, not wanting to push her away, but also wanting to understand. Marissa just told me some things, Emily replied, her voice uncertain as she wrestled with the truth. Things about Tyler, about how he is struggling. I don't know what to do with that information, but it feels like I can't just ignore it. Frank sighed, his grip loosening slightly. You two shared so much, Emily, he began slowly. If you think there's something left to unravel there, I can't stop you. But remember what happened last time it nearly broke you. The reminder cut through Emily like a shard of glass, truth lurking within it. I know, but he's not the same person anymore. Maybe I want to be the same, maybe it's worth finding out whether there's a way for us to be different. She implored, her eyes searching for understanding in his gaze. Are you willing to risk what you have with me? Frank asked, a mix of vulnerability and strength coloring his voice. She felt her heart tug sharply. The emotion swelled, an echo of gratitude for Frank's unwavering support and love. He had been her safe harbor, and the thought of possibly jeopardizing that filled her with dread. I don't know, Emily confessed, shaking her head slowly. Maybe I'm just curious. I want to see if he's really okay. Curiosity can lead you down paths you never intended to walk, he warned, gentle yet firm. But if you're determined to do this, I'll be right here. I'll support you whatever happens. His words wrapped around her, a lifeline in a storm. Thank you, Frank, she whispered, feeling an overwhelming blend of fear and affection. She felt the pull toward Tyler's world, grappling with the security Frank offered. What if he is still that person who hurt you? Frank pressed, concern etched in his face. I want to believe people can change, she replied softly, her heart beating faster. She knew the risk, She could lose herself or even hurt Frank in the process. But there was a part of her that still cared for Tyler, an ember of connection she couldn't quite snuff out. As Emily took Frank's hand, she glanced back toward the reception hall, the music pulsing in the background like a heartbeat. The reality of what lay ahead loomed large, and for a brief moment, she felt frozen in place, the ties of her past flirting with her future. The choice weighed on her. Could she reconcile her feelings for Tyler while keeping her present intact? She knew she needed more than a meeting. She needed closure or clarity. Her mind raced with possibilities and consequences, but one thing became clear. The night was far from over. Would stepping back into Tyler's world be the key to peace for them both? Or would it open a door to pain she wasn't ready to handle? As she caught Frank's gaze, she realized it was time to make a decision that could change everything. Would she dare confront the past? Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she let go of Frank's hand. Felt like an anchor, but she needed room to breathe. The music thrummed through her, each beat echoing her anxiety. She had to make a decision before the moment slipped away. Just a few minutes, Emily said, pulling her phone from her pocket. The screen lit up, and she scrolled through her contacts to find Tyler's number. It felt surreal to be doing this after everything, after the hurt, the tears, the silence that followed them. Her thumb hovered over the call button. What if he doesn't want to talk? Frank's voice broke through her swirling thoughts. Then I'll know, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But if there's a chance he needs me, I can't turn my back on that. Frank stepped closer, his anguish stark against the vibrant backdrop of the celebration. All right, but please be careful. If he isn't better, you can still walk away. She nodded, already knowing it wouldn't be simple. As she pressed the call button, the ringing felt like an eternity. Each ring was a soft, painful reminder of the person she once loved. The last time they spoke had been so final, a hurtful imprint in her memory. Come on, she whispered, tapping her foot anxiously. Hello? Tyler's voice emerged muffled and scratchy, as if he had just woken up. Tyler, it's Emily, she said, her throat tightening around his name. I heard you've been going through a rough patch. Emily? Wow, it's been a while. Are you okay? His voice changed, a hint of discomfort slipping through. He didn't sound, as she had remembered, a little colder, more guarded. I'm okay. I just wanted to see if you wanted to talk. Right now? He asked, a tinge of surprise threading through the words. I can come to you, she offered, her heart racing. She had expected him to refuse, but a tension hung in the air as she awaited his response. Okay, yeah. Meet me at the old coffee shop in 30? Sure, Emily replied, her heart pounding furiously. Once she hung up, she glanced at Frank, feeling uncertain. I'm going to meet him. I'll come with you, he said quickly, concern lacing his features. Emily shifted her weight, her mind racing. No, this is something I need to do alone. The disappointment etched in Frank's face hurt her deeply, but she knew this was about more than just their relationship. This was about understanding and maybe even closure. Stay here. I'll be back, I promise. With a quick peck on his cheek, Emily turned and slipped through the reception hall, her heart a mix of fear and determination. Each step felt heavy, a soft warning of the emotions to come. She took a deep breath as the cool night air embraced her, shaking off the residual warmth of the celebration behind her. The old coffee shop loomed ahead, memories rushing back as she stepped inside. The familiar smell of roasted coffee beans and baked goods wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but it was still a place that held tension. There he was, Tyler, sitting at a corner table. He looked different, more mature, maybe, but there was a weight on his shoulders. She hadn't seen him in months, and the sight took her breath away. Hey, he said, a flicker of surprise lighting his face. Hey, she replied, taking a seat across from him. They both fell silent, the weight of words unspoken filling the space. Emily looked at him closely, searching for the man who was no longer just the boy she had loved. Something told her, beneath his casual demeanor, there was pain. Are you okay? She finally asked, watching his expression closely. He held her gaze. Honestly, not really. Just like that, they were back in the territory of truth. The path ahead was foggy, fraught with more questions than answers. Would this simple meeting lead her to the peace she sought, or would it reveal a darker chapter she wasn't ready to face? Emily held her breath, ready for whatever unfolded next. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Emily studied Tyler's face closely, searching for clues hidden behind his guarded expression. The familiar constellation of his features felt both comforting and foreign, like a favorite song that had changed key over time. Not really, she echoed softly, her heart aching for him. What's been going on? He sighed, leaning back in his chair as if bracing against a wave of emotions. Just life, you know? It hasn't been easy since his voice trailed off, leaving the unspoken words hanging between them, heavy and dense. The memories of their ending flooded her mind, and she knew it had hurt them both. But now, she had to focus. I heard about your mom, she said gently, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm really sorry. Tyler's mother had been battling illness, a battle that had shrouded their last interactions with a veil of sadness. A look of gratitude flickered across his face, but it quickly melted into sorrow. Thanks. It's been tough. She's in a nursing home now. One day at a time, I guess. The vulnerability in his eyes made her instinctively want to reach out, to comfort him. But would that open old wounds? She fought the impulse and leaned forward instead, desperate to connect. And you've been handling it all on your own? Emily asked, feeling the weight of his solitude. What about friends? Family? I have a couple of friends, he replied with a sigh, his voice becoming distant. But it's complicated. I tend to push everyone away when I'm hurting. It's like I'm scared they might see me break. Hearing this made her ache for him even more. The boy she used to know seemed buried beneath that tough exterior. Tyler, being vulnerable doesn't mean you're weak. It's okay to need help. We all do sometimes. He looked down, skimming his fingers over the rough wood table. Yeah, I guess I'm just afraid of being a burden. I didn't want you to see me like this. No one is a burden, especially not to the people who care about them, she said fiercely, her own frustration bubbling. I wish you would felt you could reach out to me, even after everything. Well, clearly I didn't handle it well, he shot back, emotion crackling in the air. You think I wanted to lose you? That I planned for this distance between us? Emily felt the sting of his words but held her ground. Maybe we both made mistakes, but we can't change the past. All we have is now. The silence hung between them, weighted with regret and longing. Finally, Tyler shifted, meeting her gaze again. What if I told you I'm tired of pushing people away? I just don't know how to let anyone in anymore. Then let me in, she whispered, surprising herself. I want to help if you'll let me. His eyes softened, like the first light of dawn breaking through a dark fog. It's strange to hear you say that. After everything, I didn't expect you'd want to what? Help? She smiled faintly, brushing back the hair that had fallen in her face. You're still important to me, Tyler. I want to know how you are. Not just this. A faint sheen of hope glimmered in his expression. You're really here, aren't you? Yeah, and I want to understand. Just then, the door swung open, and a rush of cold air swept through the shop. Emily turned to find a couple of familiar faces, friends from their old circle, laughing together. The sight made her stomach twist. She hadn't thought about the past so publicly before, not in a place that resonated with the memories of both joy and pain. She turned back to Tyler, her heart pounding faster. Can we go somewhere else? Sure, he replied slowly, studying her with a mix of curiosity and concern. As they stood to leave, she could sense the eyes following them, whispering memories. It was scary, but maybe stepping back into those memories with him might lead to healing. As they walked towards the door, she felt both terrified and excited. Emily paused before stepping outside, feeling a rush of determination. I was scared to see you today, but I think we owe it to ourselves to figure this out. Figure what out? Tyler asked, bewildered. But as they stepped into the street, a loud shout erupted from across the road, a familiar face she hadn't expected to see. It was someone who would change everything. What she didn't expect was who was waiting just around the corner. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she turned to see the figure standing under the streetlight. Felt surreal, like a scene pulled straight from a movie. There, under the glow, was Jake, the guy from their high school days, the one who always joke about living the dream while secretly struggling. He was laughing, the same easy smile on his face that had made everyone gravitate toward him. "Jake!" she exclaimed, unable to hide her surprise. He hadn't changed much, still athletic and quick-witted. But there was an air of confidence about him that hadn't been there before. A small part of her felt buoyed by the sight. They had shared so many memories, intertwined lives that had splintered off in different directions. Tyler shifted beside her, tension radiating from his quiet stance. "You know him?" he asked, his voice low, almost cautious. "Yeah, we were friends. We used to hang out a lot." Emily kept her gaze on Jake, remembering the nights spent talking about dreams and aspirations. But as Jake noticed her, everything else faded. He walked over, his grin widening in recognition. "Emily! Wow, is that really you?" His voice was warm, familiar. They embraced, a brief moment that felt right yet wrong, charged with memories and the implications of their current situations. "Yeah, you look great. What are you doing here?" Jake glanced over her shoulder, then nodded towards Tyler. "And you're with Tyler, right? Haven't seen you guys in ages." Tyler, uncomfortable under the spotlight, offered a small wave. "Hey, Jake." It was strange, and Emily could see the tension crackling between them despite the friendly facade. She needed to figure out what this meant, especially for Tyler. But Jake leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Can we catch up? Just for a minute?" She hesitated. The urge to step back into the comfort of their friendship was strong, but she felt Tyler's eyes boring into the back of her head. Sure. Great. Let us grab some coffee." "Let us just stay here," Tyler suggested sharply, his concern for Emily bleeding through his words. The protective instinct swirling around him nudged at her heart. Jake raised an eyebrow, clearly unfazed by Tyler's interjection. "Come on, it'll be quick. I just want to see how you're doing." Emily caught Tyler's pleading look and made a decision that felt monumental. "How about you join us? Let's all catch up." She took a step toward Jake, eager to keep the connection without pushing Tyler aside. Jake's face brightened, but Tyler remained stiff, arms crossed. "I'm really not, please." Her voice was soft but firm. She needed to bridge the gap, to assure Tyler that they were in this together. After a mixture of hesitation and contemplation, Tyler relented. "Fine. Let us go somewhere else." As they walked, Emily could feel the undercurrents swirling. Jake chatted animatedly, filling the silence, but Emily focused on the subtle shifts in Tyler's mood. He was there, but more distant than before. They found a quieter cafe around the corner. Sitting across from each other, Emily could see the unease written on Tyler's face, while Jake appeared to radiate charm as he regaled them with stories. "So, what's new with you?" Jake asked, and Emily realized he had come to her for support, but instead had walked into a minefield of emotions. "I've been around," Tyler said, his voice strained, trying to figure things out. The tension hung in the air like a thick fog. "You should come out more. We need to bring that old crew together," Jake suggested, his enthusiasm unwavering even against the weight of Tyler's silence. Emily glanced between them, sensing Tyler's unwillingness to engage while Jake seemed blissfully unaware of the cloud of discomfort enveloping them. "We'll see," she said lightly, but inside she was struggling for the words to spin this conversation back into something positive. The atmosphere was frayed, and she longed to pull them both back together, to the place where laughter once lived and their secrets didn't feel like a burden. As coffee cups were filled and idle talk dissolved into deeper waters, moment of silence fell. It was then that Tyler leaned forward slightly, the raw honesty in his gaze cutting through the facade. "I need to tell you both something before he could finish." The cafe door swung open and her heart dropped. A figure stepped in, familiar but daunting. Emily's stomach twisted, knowing this moment could alter everything. She had never expected this encounter, and with it, the weight of what lies ahead crashed down on her. Was she ready for the impact? Emily's pulse quickened as she recognized the silhouette entering the cafe. Her heart raced, a mix of dread and anticipation flooding her senses. The figure stepped further into the light, revealing his face, and she could hardly breathe. Max, her ex-boyfriend, the one who had left without a trace. His dark hair was tousled, and he wore a confident smile that seemed out of place in the warm cafe. A small part of her heart ached at the sight. Memories of laughter, shared dreams, and shattered promises flooded back. But this wasn't the time for nostalgia. Max, she whispered, barely able to form the words. Jake, oblivious to the internal storm brewing within her, waved. Hey Max, you know Emily, right? For a moment, it felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. Max's eyes darted from Jake to Emily, recognition dawning on him as a surprised smile spread across his face. Emily. Wow, it's been a while. Yeah, she managed, trying to sound casual despite the wild thumping of her heart. Tyler's demeanor shifted instantly, tension coiling as he looked at Max. The weight of unspoken questions hung in the air, thick as a cloud. Emily could feel Tyler's protective instincts kicking in, his glare fixed on Max like a hawk watching over its territory. Mind if I join you? Max gestured, his casual demeanor contrasting sharply with the brewing tension. Emily's heart sank. This was not how things were supposed to unfold. Sure, Jake said, oblivious to Emily's internal chaos. As Max slid into the empty seat, Emily's stomach twisted. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice coming out sharper than she intended. Max chuckled, a sound that used to bring her comfort, but now felt loaded. Just grabbing a coffee with some old friends. Never thought I'd run into you like this. The irony wasn't lost on her. Right, well, it's interesting. Tyler cleared his throat, breaking the uncomfortable silence. So, you're back in town? His tone was icy, betraying his guarded thoughts. Max turned his attention to Tyler. Yeah, just for a bit. I'm working on some projects here. Projects? Tyler questioned, his brows knitting together. Yeah. You know how it is. Max waved his hand dismissively, yet Emily could see a glimmer of something in his eyes, like he was holding back a carefully crafted story. Emily felt the walls closing in around her. 3 old friends/faces connected by threads of memories, but now they felt like jagged edges, cutting into one another. She had to do something. But what? Tyler, why don't we grab some air? She suggested, rising from her seat. She could sense Tyler's reluctance, but the tension was unbearable. Just for a minute. Tyler shot her a wary look but nodded, standing up. See you in a bit, guys, she said, giving an abrupt wave as they walked outside. The cool night air hit her like a splash of cold water. What's going on, Em? Tyler asked, his shoulders tense. Didn't he see that coming? Neither did I, she admitted, rubbing her temples. But we can't just leave it like this. I need to know how he ended up here. Tyler frowned. You think he has changed? I don't know. Her voice broke, the frustration spilling over. What if he is the same guy? What if he isn't? Tyler stepped closer, concern etched on his face. Just be careful. We don't know what he wants. She nodded, his protectiveness bringing her grounding comfort. But that's when she caught a glimpse of Max through the cafe window. He was deep in conversation with Jake, laughter spilling out, making it seem like everything was as it once was. And that's when it struck her, did she still have feelings for him? It was a thought that sent shivers down her spine. She needed to confront her past, but the weight of it could crush her future. As she looked back at Tyler, uncertainty filled her heart. What should I do? Before he could answer, the cafe door swung open again, and another figure stepped inside. Emily's breath caught as she recognized the woman walking in. Her blood turned cold, and panic clawed at her throat. This was just getting more complicated, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for another surprise. Emily's heart raced as the woman stepped into the cafe, the air thick with an uninvited tension. It was Lily, Max's sister. The image of her guiding light reenacted memories hidden away for too long, and now the ghosts of their past loomed larger than ever. Lily? Emily whispered, the name slipping from her lips as if she'd lost hold of her breath. Lily looked around, her usual sunny aura muted by something deeper, something uncertain. Emily. Wow, it's been a minute, Lily said. Yet her voice held an edge. She glanced back towards Max momentarily before fixing her gaze back on Emily. What were you doing here? What do you mean? Emily stammered, trying to hide the sudden rush of anxiety. I could ask you the same thing. Lily hesitated, uncertain. Tyler stepped closer to Emily. The protective aura surrounding him turned solid. Maybe this isn't the best time. Huh? He suggested, glancing between the two women. Max and Jake approached, laughter still hanging in the air like a lost echo. Hey, what's up? Max asked, his cheerful demeanor a stark contrast to the turmoil, barely masking the intense atmosphere. Lily forced a smile, but the concern in her eyes didn't fade. Just checking in, right? Emily took a deep breath, determination rising. I need to talk to you, Max, alone. At her insistence, Jake offered a teasing, sounds serious. And suddenly, the warmth that had surrounded their gathering turned to ice. Max's expression shifted, an uncertain crease forming on his forehead. Let us step outside. They moved to the cafe's patio, the night air heavy with unaddressed tension. Emily felt her nerves electrified, but she was resolved. She couldn't let hesitation dictate the conversation any longer. Why are you really back? She started, her voice steady despite the storm inside. You left without a word. I deserve to know why you're suddenly here, acting like it's all okay. Max looked taken aback, words momentarily escaping him, but he quickly regained composure. It's complicated, Em. I didn't come back for the reasons you think. Then tell me, she pressed, her confusion battling the flicker of familiarity she felt. Is it just for the nostalgia? Or is there something you left unfinished? His eyes narrowed, shadows crossing his face. You wouldn't understand. I might surprise you, she challenged, a spark igniting within her. You owe me an explanation. Max sighed, running a hand through the tousled hair that once made her heart flutter. Okay, you're right. I do owe you, it's just that things got out of control when I left. I had to suddenly. Lily's voice cut through the tension. Max, maybe you should just know. Stop, he snapped, his temper flaring for a split second. A crack of vulnerability flashed across his face, and Emily saw a glimpse of the boy she once knew. I need to say this. Lily stepped back, surprised by her brother's intensity, and Emily's heart hitched in her chest. There was so much left unsaid, and the jagged edges of their past were finally surfacing. I didn't leave because I wanted to hurt you, Max continued, his voice softer now. I thought I was protecting you. I thought I was saving us both. Saving us? She echoed, hurt echoing in her tone. You didn't give me a chance to understand or decide. You just disappeared. He looked down, guilt etched on his features. I was scared. Before she could respond, a vibrant laugh echoed from inside the cafe. The door swung open again, and Emily turned to see a woman with bright red hair enter with a confident stride. Her intuition screamed at her that this was yet another twist she wasn't prepared for. Max shifted uncomfortably beside her. Emily, wait, there's something you need to know about her, too. As the woman approached, Emily felt the knot in her stomach tighten. A past that was supposed to feel closed was threatening to unravel before her. The voice crack in her throat made her hesitate, and wonder flared questions that she didn't want to confront. Who was this woman, and how was she linked to Max? The moment felt monumental, and Emily awaited the answer that could change everything. Would the truth dismantle the fragile walls she had erected to protect herself? Max's gaze implored her, the weight of his unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. Emily, it's not what you think, he urged. But did she really want to uncover what lay beneath? Emily's heart raced as the woman approached, her confidence almost tangible. She looked familiar, like a jigsaw piece from her past that had been set aside. There was something about the way she held herself, a hint of familiarity paired with the allure of new beginnings. Hey, Max, the woman chirped, her voice bright and easy. Then her eyes landed on Emily, confusion etched on her pretty face. Oh, hi. You must be Emily? Wow, it's so good to finally meet you. Max's expression shifted, confusion swirling among the layers of emotions. You know her? Of course. I've heard so much about you, the woman said, though her enthusiasm felt scripted. Emily recoiled internally, sensing the awkwardness bubble to the surface. I'm Ava. Max and I are working together, Max interjected, his voice strained. Emily stiffened, her back straightening as if bracing for impact. Working together? The tension became palpable. Max's eyes flickered between the two women, and a lump formed in her throat. This wasn't the way their reunion was supposed to go. Why did it feel like a setup, an ambush of memories and uncertainties? Yeah, Ava said, jumping in before Max could elaborate, his hesitation only adding fuel to the fire. We've partnered on a few projects. I thought you'd be thrilled to know he's doing really well. Thrilled? The word tasted bitter on her tongue, laden with sarcasm as Emily held Ava's enthusiastic gaze. Did you two reconnect before or after he disappeared? Max winced, a shadow crossing his face. Emily, stop. She threw her hand up, catching him off guard. I can't handle more secrets. I deserve to know the truth. The cafe buzzed around them, laughter blending with the chatter, yet she felt eerily detached from the world. Before them stood a past wrapped in illusions, shaking her foundations with unsaid words. Emily, Max's voice faltered. You what? She demanded, feeling anger and sadness fuse. Did you think it would be easy? That I wouldn't care how your sudden departure impacted my life? And now here you are. Can we not do this right here? Max shot back, frustration cracking his demeanor. We're not a couple anymore. And just like that, her heart clenched, a painful reminder she couldn't ignore. That's not the point, she whispered fiercely, emotions pressing in like a wave. Don't try to dodge the truth, Max. I was left confused and broken. Ava looked on, her brow furrowing, shifting uncomfortably in the weight of the exchange. She didn't want to be a spectator in this, forced into a drama that was already too much. Look, Max said finally, drawing a breath like a lifeline. I didn't leave to hurt you. It was complicated. I was scared of being someone you didn't deserve. Scared of what would happen when my life became overwhelming. Overwhelming? Emily echoed, her voice trembling as the image of the boy she used to love flickered in her mind. So you thought running away was the solution? I thought I was protecting you. His voice escalated, cracking at the ends. I was a mess. I am a mess. But I never wanted to hurt you. I wanted you to have a chance without my weight dragging you under. By lying, by disappearing, the sting of betrayal colored her words. Can we not talk about this here? Max pleaded softly, his gentler tone ricocheting against the walls she had built. There's so much more to explain, to unpack. Can we just find a quieter place to talk? Her instincts screamed in warning. But there was also an ember of hope flickering against the backdrop of pain. Somehow, the boy who left felt closer now, standing beneath a different shade of the man who had re-entered her life. Could she dare to peel back the layers of hurt? All right, let us go somewhere private, she finally replied, feeling a mixture of trepidation and possibility. Can I come? Ava asked, her curiosity powerful, eyes wide. Emily could hardly believe it. You? Why would you want to intrude? Because it's important, Ava countered, determination punctuating her words. If Max is right and you two have unfinished business, then maybe I could help. I've seen him struggle and he deserves to be understood, for you both to have closure. It was unexpected but somehow felt right. Fine, she relented, glancing back at Tyler, still all too present. But come on, let us find a quiet space. As they stepped away from the chaos of the cafe, Emily's heart beat like a drum. The energy between them swelled, a tangled web of emotions pulled tight. It felt surreal to walk alongside the boy she once loved, with barriers slipping, and the hope of fresh understanding emerging. In the shadows of the night, beneath a sky splattered with stars, this could be the moment she'd either reclaim her past or finally forge ahead stronger. All her fears and uncertainties lingered, yet she had stepped forward into the unknown. The stories woven in their past had yet to be concluded. As they found a bench nestled among the trees, she took a deep breath, gathered her inner strength, and faced Max, ready to tackle the conversation that might change everything. "Okay, what's the truth?" she asked, her voice steady even though her heart was pounding. For the first time, she felt a flicker of hope igniting within her chest. Maybe this was the beginning of a new chapter, one grounded in honesty and forgiveness. "Let us talk." And with those two simple words, a path unfurled before them, brimming with the power to heal what had long been broken. Now, if you've journeyed with us this far and felt the power of this story, this is your moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share the magic of the story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, so we can keep these amazing stories coming your way. And comment your reactions and feelings about this exhilarating conclusion. We can't wait to hear from you.